You see, I'm pretty sure when a lot of people were going to watch this race, I'm pretty sure no one thought that the main goal of all the drivers was to not win the race, but to literally kill each other. Especially Ross Chastain, because I'm pretty sure he wanted to kill everyone on the track. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. My name is Jet. Hope you're having a wonderful Sunday. Man, the inaugural race in St. Louis for the NASCAR Cup Series at Gateway, or Worldwide Technology Raceway, was an absolute banger in terms of drama and entertainment, but we gotta talk about the racing, which we'll get to in a little bit, but holy hell, so much happened, and credit to Ross Chastain, he made this race extremely entertaining in the worst ways possible. Let's get into it, of course, with the thing that everyone wants to talk about, and that is involving Ross Chastain getting teamed up by Denny Hamlin and then later Chase Elliott. First, start off with Denny Hamlin. How did this whole thing start? Well, it started on lap 65. Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin, who they have been having a scrap for virtually the entire race up until that point. And then Chastain decides to just dump the 11, just dumps him and sends him into the wall. Pretty sure broke a toe link on the right rear side of Hamlin's car, which basically took him out of contention. Hamlin was really slow, but he was still able to maintain pace or maintain minimum speed, but was multiple laps down. And his main objective, his one goal, was to make Chastain's life a living hell in this race. So many times, Hamlin and Chastain, they went after each other. First, on the back straightaway, Hamlin put Chastain near down to the grass almost. And then a little bit later, Hamlin slowed up Chastain a ton in turns 1 and 2. Chastain lost a bunch of ground on the people that he was competing against. And then Chastain thought, you know what? I don't want to compete against, or at least have an issue with one driver. I want to piss off two drivers. He does the same thing to NASCAR's most popular driver, Chase Elliott. On a restart, Chastain tried to squeeze in a hole that was not going to work out and takes out Chase Elliott in the process. Hamlin is still pissed off, but now he's got Chase Elliott pissed off at Chastain. Who would have thought that this would happen? Literally, Chastain got a 1-2 combo from both drivers. On the next restart, he just got tag teamed. Elliott, literally, his main objective was to take out Chastain, pushes him so far into turn 1, and then Hamlin comes in here and then holds him up again, keens him up on the outside wall. He did this for an entire lap, just holding up Chastain any way he could. And then finally, after a little bit, NASCAR said, all right, stop. Stop it. No more. They did give out a little warning to Hamlin by saying, hey, you think he made your point? Denny responded by saying, yeah, right. I don't think I have the audio clip for it, but if I do, I will post it up here. But Hamlin just basically didn't care about NASCAR's recommendation, I guess, and just kept going after Chastain. But the funniest part was that 1-2 combo with Chase and Hamlin. Who would have thought, after what happened in Martinsville and Phoenix in 2017, that we would see Hamlin and Chase Elliott, two people would not get along, team up on Ross Chastain. It was like a WWE handicap match. It was 2 against 1. It was absolutely hilarious. But that wouldn't be it, because later on, Elliott will continue to get on Chastain. Not only did Elliott hold up Chastain or try to make Chastain's life even more harder or even more hard, he then gets into BJ McLeod, then BJ McLeod is now pissed off at Chase Elliott. So now you have, now you have Chase Elliott and Hamlin pissed off at Chastain. Now you have BJ McLeod pissed off at Chase Elliott. But then Denny Hamlin gets into more issues, but with his driver, Bubba Wallace. Hamlin riding around, and then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. decides to just dump Bubba Wallace, sends Wallace into the outside wall, but he did this right in front of Denny Hamlin. So Denny comes up on the back end of Stenhouse and gives Stenhouse a little nudge under caution. So that was all in one stage. That all happened in stage 2. So if we could just back up a little bit, you have Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott against Ross Chastain. You then have BJ McLeod against Chase Elliott. Then you have Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin against Ricky Stenhouse. It was just it was absolute chaos, which it made up for the lack of racing, because we're gonna get into that later, but When I tell you, that stage was probably the most entertaining stage I've ever seen this season, just because every lap or so, someone was pissed off at somebody, and then that somebody was trying to retaliate by making their life a living hell. I mean, it was so funny. If you have the opportunity to watch this stage, watch it. It's so fun. It was so entertaining. Now, was it a bit mess? Was it a bit unprofessional? Yes, but it was fun. It was really entertaining, and I'm pretty sure the fans enjoyed it. So that's all that matters. But yeah, that stage was absolute chaos. And it sort of made up for the lack of racing, because the racing at Gateway, a lot of people went into Gateway with the assumption that this race would be pretty boring. We saw a lot of drivers after Friday and Saturday saying that that with the next gen car, it's going to be kind of like Martinsville with the shifting going on and the underbody and the diffuser. It could worsen the racing and make it kind of just a one lane type of track, and drivers won't be able, it would be extremely difficult to pass, as that's what the drivers would say. And it did seem as the flat tracks would be the next gen's Achilles heel. So tracks like Gateway, Martinsville, and New Hampshire coming up later would be the tracks, the next gen's cars Achilles heel. And it did seem like that later on into the long green flag runs. Tire wear, non-existent really. We saw a lot of drivers stay out on the racetrack, or some even took 2 tires and were able to hold on to their position. So track position was extremely important. But the restarts were really fun to watch. We saw a lot of 3 wide and 4 wide racing even at some points every time when there was a restart. So the restarts were very entertaining. But after about 10 or so laps, when things died down a little bit, when the racing kind of fell flat a little bit. I mean, stage 1, first 10 laps, exciting racing. And then after that, nothing. Chase Briscoe, who was a pole sitter, was leading at the time. 20 laps into the race, he blew a left rear tire, had to pit, goes a lap down, gives the lead to Austin Cindric. So once again, tires, left rear tires were an issue. And this was more on the teams, I feel like, because, obviously Goodyear gives out a recommendation to set your PSI to a certain level. Some teams, though, will try to lower that level for just better performance from their cars. So it wasn't that big of a deal. There were a couple of tire issues, but not as much as what we saw in previous races. So, but yeah, that was it. Cindric went on to win stage 1. That's all that happened in stage 1. Stage 2, that's when basically all hell broke loose. Again, started off extremely awesome in terms of racing. A lot of side-by-side, 3 wide action, but later on to the race, we didn't see actual battles. We saw more of the chaos between Hamlin, Elliott, and those guys, but in terms of the racing, not that much. Blaney and Cindric were side-by-side for the first few laps, but then Blaney prevailed and opened up to a 1.3 second gap. And then we talked about with tire wear not meaning anything. Kurt Busch, after that caution with Stenhouse and Bubba Wallace, Kurt Busch stayed out and was able to win stage number 2. So tire wear wasn't that big of a deal. It didn't really matter. You could stay out there on worn tires, stay up on 2 laps or just on 2 worn tires. If you're able to hold your ground for those first handful of laps, you're set. In stage 3, it looked to be the same thing. Truex and Kyle Busch leading. We did see some incidents, like with 58 to go, Tyler Reddick lost it off of turn number 2. He brought out the caution. Eric Jones came out first on pit road after that incident, and he was able to hold his ground for a little bit, but then Joe Logano and Kyle Busch, who had much faster cars than the 43 car, would take over to get a 1-2 battle. That's how we got Logano and Kyle Busch. They were in the top 5 for majority of the race. Kyle Busch had a real fast race car, so did Joey Logano. So we knew that once they got out in front, they were going to be the guys to beat in this race. So that's how they were able to get out ahead of Eric Jones in those final stages of the race. With 40 to go, though, another caution. Stenhouse, broken toe link, smacks the wall, and spins. Kyle Busch then led at the restart, but Joey Logano made a power move, I believe, on the inside of Kyle Busch to sort of slide up and steal the lead away from Kyle. And it looked as though as Logano was going to go by to win the race. Another caution comes out. Todd Gilliland got into Cole Custer, sent him into the wall. We then got restarted again, and then we had a real good battle between Kyle Busch and Logano. This one was a lot more competitive than the last restart. Kyle Busch was giving everything he had to Joe Logano, and he took the lead on the outside lane on the restart, but Logano was still there, was still just right on the bumper of Kyle Busch, and it was some great racing. And then 5 laps ago, Kevin Harvick blew a right front brake rotor and slammed into the outside wall a ton in turns 3 and 4. That sends us into NASCAR overtime. So Kyle Busch and Logano, they're side by side entering turns 1 and 2 with Blaney and Kurt Busch. Kurt doesn't give a push to Kyle, but Logano slides up, takes the lead, but Busch performs a crossover move, gets back underneath Logano's left rear corner panel, side by side. They touch a little bit in the back straightaway, touch again. Busch then tries to break the little side drive to get ahead of Logano. Busch entering 3 and 4, drives it in way too hard, slides up, loses the car. Logano back again on his inside with the crossover move and just slides up and takes lead away from Kyle as he's still sliding sideways at the white flag. Logano opens up to about a 3-4 second of a lead ahead of Kyle Busch, and that was all she wrote. Kyle was just way too far back to try and pull a move. Logano will go on to win the inaugural race at Worldwide Technology Raceway for his 29th career Cup victory, which is also tied for 29th on NASCAR's all-time list. His second career win of 2022, and I believe this is his second this is his third technically inaugural win. He won at the Bristol Dirt last year and won the Busch Clash at the Coliseum. So Logano and inaugural racetracks, new racetracks, seem to have a real good combination. So here's a look at the race results. Logano wins. Kyle Busch and Kurt Busch second and third. Blaney, a solid run for him in fourth. And Eric Almirola had a really strong car in the top 10 all race long in fifth. Truex Jr., Eric Jones was able to hold on to seventh place on those two tires. Ross Chastain, Christopher Bell, AJ Allmendinger, who hadn't seen the track until Sunday. He was out in Portland while his car was driven in practice and qualified by Ben Rhodes. Hadn't seen Gateway until Sunday and was able to rebound to a 10th place finish. Incredible run for that 16 team. 11th is Cindric, 12th Larson, Bowman 13th, Justin Haley, great run in 14th place, and Austin Dillon rounds out the top 15. Larson had a surprisingly quiet day. I expected him to run a lot stronger, but Tyler Reddick 16th, Zane Smith 17th, great run for him in his Cup Series debut, filling in for Chris Buescher, who has COVID. Michael McDowell had a strong run. He had a really good run, especially I believe around near the end of stage 2. He was actually leading for a good portion of the race, so he had a top 10 car in my opinion. William Byron was just off all race 19th, and then of course Brad Keselowski in 20th and Chase Elliott 21st. I mean, after all that crap he had to deal with Chastain and everything. Todd Gillen 22nd, Suarez 23rd, Chase Briscoe and Harrison Burton the top 25, Bubba Wallace, Ty Dillon, Josh Bilicki, Cole Custer and BJ McLeod the top 30, Parker Kligerman, Stenhouse Jr., Kevin Harvick, Denny Hamlin, Cody Ware, and Corey LaJoie rounds out the 36-car field. And here's a look at the playoff grid. Joey Logano becomes the fourth different driver with more than one win in 2022. Ryan Blaney, Mark Truex Jr., they have a pretty good buffer ahead of the cut line. 102 for Blaney and 93 for Truex, 57 for Christopher Bell. Kevin Harvick goes from 15th to now below the cut line in 17th, 2 points below Tyler Reddick. Eric Jones minus 26. Austin Dillon stays at minus 29 and Daniel Suarez at minus 60. Oh man. All right. So we're going to have to separate this from a entertainment perspective. Gateway delivered a lot of entertainment, obviously from the rivalries or scraps that we have between Chastain and everyone else. And I want to bring this up because Chastain gave an interview, and you have to respect him. Take a listen.
Terrible driving, Jamie. It's one thing to do it once, but I just kept driving into guys, and at this level I'm supposed to be better than that, and it's a shame for Moose and Advent Health and Jockey and Worldwide Express and have all these people believing in me and Justin Marks and Pitbull to put me in this car. They deserve better.
Will you go talk to him?
I will, yeah. I owe half the field an apology, and words aren't going to fix it, so I'll have to pay for it on the track, and almost did today, and then I deserve everything that they do. I can't believe that I continue to make the same mistakes and overdrive the corners and drive into guys. I had time under caution to get reset, and we go green, and I drive into somebody. It's terrible.
He could have done what a certain man would do, and just act like he did nothing wrong, and act like, nothing, that it was just racing. He could have gone with that route, but I have to commend, you have to respect Ross Chastain. He admits he messed up. Everyone knew he messed up, but the fact that he also admitted that, you have to give him respect. And that's why I like Ross Chastain so much. Yes, he is very aggressive, which makes him very entertaining. And yes, he can go over the line, which he did today. But very rare lately these days do we see drivers take responsibility. You know, usually their drivers are very stubborn, which even they'll admit, but for him to take responsibility for it, you got to commend him on that. So I respect Ross Chastain for doing that. Not a lot of drivers would do that. So again, you have to give him props for it. And yeah, we'll see. Will Denny and Chase still get him back? Because even though Chastain apologized and admit he was an idiot, he did cost Hamlin and Chase Elliott a race. He did cost them damage. He did ruin their race. So will they get back at him? We'll see. We'll see. We'll just have to wait and see. But the racing, the entertainment made up for the racing because the racing was meh. Stage 3, though, especially the last 20 laps or so, that battle between Kyle Busch and Joey Logano, that was real good racing. I really enjoyed that part. But for the most part of it, outside of the restarts, the racing was just real subpar. It was just not that good. And I think that was something that a lot of us were expecting with this next-gen car. Its Achilles heel has always been with the flat tracks. So, you know, we know it does really good. Its strong suits are tracks like Vegas, tracks like Kansas, those multi-groove racetracks, and the road courses, which we're going to go to next weekend at Sonoma. So that's good, but that's something that NASCAR needs to take a look at because there was some skepticism about how good is this car really in traffic. Kyle Busch said that this car is more of a handle than it was with the Gen 6 car. So that's something that NASCAR is going to need to take a look at in the offseason. I don't think that's something that they can fix during the season. They're going to take a look at that in the offseason to fix it up for 2023. But I say it delivered. I give this race a 7 out of 10. Again, the racing, but the entertainment, it made it up for it. You know, so I thought this was a success. I mean, we had a sellout crowd. I mean, it's still shocking. Even though I knew it was going to sell out, it's still shocking to see that many people for a NASCAR Cup race. The vibe for the people at St. Louis was really, really awesome. Everyone was real hyped and excited for this race. It was the talk of the town around the area. So really cool to see the amount of publicity and just the amount of people that showed up to this race. It was really, really cool to see. So a huge shout out to the people at St. Louis that came out to this race. And yeah, if they can get this track right, put Gateway in the playoffs, because with the amount of tempers that flared in this race, put Gateway in the playoffs. I mean, Saturday night under the lights in the playoffs, round of 8. Let's go. Let's do it. Get Texas out of here. Put Gateway in it. Let's go. I'm here for it. But yeah, that's going to conclude this episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. I enjoyed it, but there are some things we need to work on. What are your thoughts on this race? Tell me in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you not? But until next time, my name is Jetta from MDK. Congratulations to Joey Logano, your winner in St. Louis.